Hello everybody, Axe Wizard here. Before I get into the actual video, this video is going to be pretty rough because I did a playtest, which I'm going to show you now, but it's just at my kitchen table, and I didn't have good microphone quality. My phone, it was recorded on my phone, and I got some notifications and stuff during the middle of it, so bear with me, but this is available for playtest now. You can download the PDF, you can download all of them on my itch.io, which I have a link in the description. It's free. All of this stuff is subject to change, so I would love your feedback on all of this, and let me know how your play sessions go, because it's a pretty brutal game, and I'll go through the whole thing in this video and show you guys how it works. But yeah, enjoy and let me know your thoughts. Let's get to the playtest. What's up, everybody? Axe Wizard here. So I think I have my Gladiators game ready to playtest. So I printed out a little booklet, and this is good enough to playtest. And then I printed out the character cards and I cut them out badly with how they had this weird shape to them. But I figured I would give, so we have equipment cards, and then we also have weapon cards. So I figured I would give like a little play test basically on of how me and my boys play it, or my boys and I rather, to be correct English. And figure we just go through it together. So the first page is character creation. So this is pretty easy. For the purposes of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one player-controlled gladiator, which I'm going to control. And then I'm going to make one enemy gladiator, which would be controlled by the arbiter, which, since I'm just doing a demo by myself here, is also just me. So I'm going to have two character sheets, one for my character and then one for the enemy. And I'm going to denote them with these tokens. So blue will be me, green will be the enemy. How about that? Sounds good. So character creation. First we have to pick a name. So I'm just going to pick, I don't know, Felix. Sounds good. So I'm going to write down Felix. And I hope that all this stuff can be seen on this camera here. But we'll see how it works. And then the enemy, I'm just going to call just enemy. He's not even going to have a name. He's not even worthy. So, attributes. Players roll 3d6 for each attribute: savagery, quickness, and resilience. So we're going to grab some d6s over here. And let's roll. So I got, let's see, a 5 and a 3, that's an 8. So I got 12. Let's see, so that is a 6 and a 5, so that is 11. So 12 and 11. And then I got 2 3s and a 1, so that's 7. So 12, 11, and 7. I'm going to put 12 into savagery. I'm going to put 11 into resilience, and I'm going to put my 7 into quickness. So you can roll these however you like. Really, you could put them in whatever order you want to prioritize. Because chances are your gladiator might die, so you're going to be rolling characters potentially pretty often. At least my boys do anyway. So then for the enemy, I'll roll with the other hand for fun. So holy cow, I'm on fire. That's a 14. 14. So that is not so good. That's a 6. And then I got a 10. So 14, a 6, and a 10. So I'm going to put 6 into quickness. I'm going to put 14 into savagery. I'm going to put the 10 into resilience, because that seems like it's a good stat. Now for NPCs, I normally just roll like in order. It doesn't really matter, but if you don't like the rolling 3d6, you can do kind of what D&D does, where you roll 4d6 and then you discard the lowest one. So this would give me a 7 still. So, but I just preferred the 3d6 because your gladiator is going to improve stats, and it is kind of fun to just have that challenge, because then you'll have to find weapons and equipment that suit your strengths as opposed to just being good at everything. So that's just my thought process on that. So we've rolled that, and now we have to roll our avoidance. Players roll 2d6 to determine their starting avoidance. So similar to Cairn, avoidance is just like hit protection. I just didn't want to call it HP, so I called it avoidance. It's the measure of how much damage you can avoid taking. So I'm going to roll for my character. So I have 2 and a 3, that's 5. So he has 5 avoidance. And then for the enemy, that is a 2 and a 1. So that's a 3 for avoidance. Okay. So now characters are created. Then we move on to arena preparation. So normally the Arbiter would have this ready to go ahead of time. And on the booklet, it does give you like an example arena and some descriptions as what actually makes an arena. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black dry erase marker over here, and I'm just going to make just a quick little arena. So I'm going to look at that. Bam. So now we have an arena. So we need to have our boundary, which I just drew. We'd have entrances. I'm going to have an entrance right here, and an entrance over here. And just for fun, I'm going to have one over here and one over here as well. So we have 4 entrances. So that kind of adds some stuff. Now there's dangers, things that may cause harm to combatants, such as spikes, hidden pits, traps, beasts, enemy gladiators, whatnot. So what I'm going to do is right over in this corner, there's a post, and over in this corner, there's another post. And I'm going to use pink tokens for this. So there's going to be a tiger that's chained to a post over here, and a tiger that's chained to a post over there. And it can't move, it can move like basically two squares from this post. That's just what I'm going to say, just for fun. So I can move about basically like, I'm going to draw a different thing. I'm going to say danger zone. I'm going to draw, let's see. You know what? I might move the post just a little bit because this corner might be better. So I'm going to move the post from there. I'm going to draw the post over here instead. I'm going to draw it in red. And yeah, we'll just do it in these corners. Draw it in red. And then basically this is going to be the danger area, right? So you can determine that however you like, but basically there's a freaking tethered tiger that's wanting to chomp you in half. So for funs, like I don't really have any stat blocks for any of the enemies and stuff yet, like as far as the non-gladiator combatants. So I usually just do something like very simple stats, like okay, they have a savagery of, I don't know, 12, and they have a resilience of like 6. And that's really all they need to do, because savagery will be used to attack. And then I'll just say they do like, I don't know, 1d6 damage when they attack. And they only have like 6 resilience. So they're pretty easy to kill. But you can balance that however you like, but they are a danger that are hostile to both players and also enemy combatants. So, yeah. So the arena preparation, so there's some dangers. There's also some obstacles, things that may hinder movement, such as walls, nets, puddles, or mud. So maybe I might add something like, what should I add that's... So you don't have to add any of this stuff if you don't want to. So if you're just starting out, a basic arena might be just perfectly fine. So I'm going to keep it how it is for now. But what I might do for fun is in this corner, I'm going to add some spikes. Just because spikes are fun to have in these 2 corners. Because you never know, you might want to throw one of your enemies into some spikes, because that's how we do it. It's fun. There we go. All right, so we have our arena prepared. Awesome. Now we have to decide what the favored attribute is. So this is used to determine the combat order of the play. It's basically initiative, right? I tried making this without like some sort of combat order, and it didn't flow as nicely as I wanted it to, and it wasn't clear who should take what turn, and so I just decided to keep the initiative. But realistically, you can determine combat order however you wish. So for this, we're just going to go off of I'm just going to default to using the quickness stat. So I have a quickness of 7. My enemy has a quickness of 6. So I go first, and then my enemy goes second. And then these guys I'll just have them go last. So I'm going to be the blue character. I'm going to approach from this entrance. And then my opponent comes over at the other entrance. So there we go. We have our arena set up. Perfect. So the arbiter can decide wherever whatever entrances they appear out of. If you have an arena that only has like one entrance, you could maybe have the player enter first, and they can get set where they want, and then they can have the enemy appear. So you can play it however you like. But for this, we have 4 entrances. We got plenty of stuff to go around. So arena preparation is done for this fight. So now we can do fight preparation. So basically what this consists of is we have our gladiator rolled, we have an arena, but what are we going to fight with? So we have to do weapon selection, equipment selection, and then attribute selection. So how weapon selection works is that before every fight, the arbiter shall do the following. Gather all the weapon cards and shuffle the deck. I've already shuffled this as best as I can. Not very well. It's kind of hard to shuffle these cards, but I tried to scatter them about, and yeah, so I've done a shuffle, I guess. So what they're going to do is they're going to draw at least 3 cards and place them face up on the table in full view of gladiators. Ideally, at least 3 more cards than the number of players. So that's kind of an oxymoron. It says at least 3, but at least 3 more than the number of players. So I'm a player, only 1 player, so I would draw at least 4 cards. So the reason for this is this was a typo that I left in there. I have to fix. But the reason why we draw multiple cards, more than the number of players, is so that we have options for what our loadout's going to be, right? So I'm going to draw 4 cards. All right. So these are the options that I have to choose from. So if there are multiple gladiators on a team, if they can't decide who gets what in an orderly, compromised manner, then it will just be determined by who has the higher savagery. Because I figure, whoever's the most savage gets to pick first. That's kind of my thought process there. So we get to pick these weapons. So looking at my stats, this uses savagery, which is a pretty good bet. The rest of this stuff uses quickness, which kind of sucks. Oh, you know what else I forgot to include in arena preparation? Is sometimes you might want to put different weapons that are hidden, that are spread out throughout. So let's say I draw 2 additional cards. So I have a scissor, and I have a maul. So a scissor is like this gauntlet that has a blade on it, from what I could tell. I just looked up a bunch of ancient Rome, like ancient gladiator weapons. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the scissor, I'm going to put this like right over here in the danger zone, just for fun. And then for the maul, which is basically a 2-handed like club or a hammer or something, I'm going to put that like, I'm going to put this right here. So you can choose to pick these weapons up if you want while you're on there. So I'm going to set these 2 cards aside for now. I'm just going to set them over here for now, where I can get them if I need them. The arbiter would hold on to those and grab those as needed. But yeah, I'm going to move these character cards out of the way because I don't need those anymore for now. So I'm going to pick the hand axe because that goes good with my savagery. And then, so every one of these cards typically has a stat that is determined like what the actual stat is. So savagery here means that whenever I make a melee attack, I'm going to make a savagery roll, and I have to roll at or under my current savagery. So this is something that I kind of took from Karen. I liked the roll under system. So That's where I'm going with that. So I'm going to take this one because it has savagery, which means I'm going to have more chance to hit. And let's see. So, and every card has different, they have a basic ability that just costs 1 action point. And then they also have stuff that might cost multiple action points or glory. And so I'm going to keep that one. And then this Pugio, I think that's how you pronounce it. Pugio, I'm not sure. It's basically a dagger. This uses quickness, so I wouldn't be very good at attacking with it. So I'm going to leave this one here. This one is a Parmula. It is a offhand shield. Also uses quickness. However, I forgot to bold the ability names on this card. Oh well. So I do have a block action that is a reaction that I can make a resilience save and then add 1+1 to my armor. And I also have blocking strike, which does require quickness, but block will be handy at least. So I can at least use that. So I am going to take these as my weapons. So it's up to you to determine. Some weapons have the sheath ability, which means you can basically have them on your person without having to hold them or drop them on the ground. So in the event that you get a weapon that does have a sheath, I thought this one did. Maybe I removed it to make room for other stuff. But you can have like 3 if you have a one that has sheath. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it. So these 2 are unused. I'm going to just put these at the bottom of the deck. And I'm going to draw 4 new cards for the enemy to pick. 1, 2. That's not even a weapon card. That's a name. That's a player card. Let's see. So we got ranged weapons. We got a Sika and a Reet. Okay. So right off the bat, we got 2 quickness weapons, and these are both ranged weapons. So ranged weapons have this kind of cool quirk to where they can you can only fire them when they're loaded, and it takes basically 1 action point to reload them. So these are both quickness weapons. I'm not going to use these because this guy has a quickness of 6. So these probably aren't going to be that good. So I'm going to put these at the bottom of the weapons deck. And I'm going to focus on these 2. A Sika is basically like a curved sword. So it uses savagery for the main stat. So that works perfect. So he's going to take that. And then he also has a Reet, which is basically this net that you can throw at people to entangle them. And you can yank them around if they are entangled. So I'm going to take these 2 weapons for my enemy gladiator here. And there, bam. So weapon selection is done. So now we can go on to equipment selection. And it's a similar process, except now we're using the equipment deck. So basically, I'm going to just draw, let's see, what does it say? At least 4 cards, number of players plus 3. See, I corrected that one. I didn't correct the weapons yet, but it's on my list. So I can't pronounce half of this shit, to be honest, but it's kind of fun. Oops, hang on. I got 2 in a row. That's lame. Already got a bunch of Akria. I'm not going to do that one. So sometimes I have an equipment like horse. I'm going to leave this one out for now. You know what? Screw it. We're gonna pick the horse. Because why not? We drew it. Okay, these are weapons. These are armor. So my character has 4 choices. So basically, we have this sublicaculum. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's basically leg armor. And every equipment usually gives you some passives, and some of them might have abilities. This is the weak point of this game so far, I think, is I'm trying to figure out a lot of cool stuff to do for the equipment. So I'm not quite sure, like not every equipment has abilities, and I'm not sure what to do. So this one gives me +2 quickness and +2 avoidance. And I have a nimble dodge ability, which costs 2 glory, and it's a reaction. This one, a fasciae, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. This is also leg armor, but it only has +1 quickness and +2 avoidance. So, and no abilities. So this one's not going to be good. You can only wear one type of equipment in one slot. So since these are both leg, I can only pick one. Even though I have 2 legs, right? But it doesn't matter. It's only one. So I'm going to put this one back over here in this deck. I'm going to take this one. And then let's see what else we got here. Oh, actually, you know what? I might swap this out. We have this leather Acria, which is leg armor, +1 avoidance, +1 armor, +1 resilience. So this one gives me armor. It also has an ability called Knee Thrust, which is a savagery ability, which can help me do some damage if I lose my weapons or whatnot, because you can get disarmed. So if I lose my weapons, I can still knee people in the face and do more damage than if I would with an unarmed attack. And this gives me armor, which is nice. So I'm going to take that. And then, of course, the horse, which is a mount. +2 avoidance, +2 resilience, +1 quickness. That's pretty massive. And I can trample people, which can be used as part of a move action. And this does cost glory. And then I can also kick people with my horse. So that's pretty huge. I'm going to take both of those, and I'm going to set those aside. So now I'm going to draw 4 equipment cards for my enemy gladiator. Oh, this guy's going to be tough. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. This poor bastard. So we've got a chest armor that has +1 avoidance, +1 resilience, +1 armor, no abilities. He's going to take that. And then we have 3 helmets. 3 different helmets. So let's see. What's he going to pick? This one, they all give +1 armor. But this one gives +2 resilience, -1 quickness. This one gives +1 resilience, 1 avoidance, and then -1 quickness. And this one gives +2 savagery and -1 quickness. So I think I'm going to go with the savagery one. Since he already has high savagery, he's going to lean into that. Boom. So he's got that. This might be a tough battle for me to beat. I don't know if I'll be able to do it or not. Okay. So now that we've equipped our stuff, now we have to do attribute adjustments. So weapons never modify your attributes like at the start. Some of them might be able to you can block with them, maybe add armor for a turn or something like that, but the equipment does modify your attributes. So I'm just going to go through and let's see what we got here. So I'm going to have +3 avoidance off of this. So my avoidance goes from 5 to 8. So I'm going to move that in the current slot there. I have +1 armor. So I'm going to add 1 armor. I could add it for my base. It doesn't really matter for the armor. You can track that however you like. And then I'm going to have +3 resilience. So my resilience is going to go to 14. And I'm going to have +1 quickness. My quickness is going to go to 8. Cool. So that's it for my stats. So we're good to go there. Now for the enemy stats. So right off the bat, he's going to have 2 armor, which is huge. So a quick note about armor. It reduces incoming damage by a flat amount. And it's not capped at 3 like Cairn is. There is no cap to armor. So that can be very, very powerful if you get a set that has a bunch of actual stuff that gives armor. But there are some abilities I want to add more that ignore armor, that can ignore armor. So we got +2 armor. We're going to have +1 avoidance. So it's going to be 4 avoidance. We're going to have +2 savagery, so that gives us a 16. We're going to have -1 quickness, which brings us to 5. And we're going to have +1 resilience, which brings us to 11. Cool. And this one has a headbutt ability, which does 1d8 blunt, but if successful, you lose 1 resilience. So it's kind of a danger to use. So there we go. We have stuff rolled. So there we go. We've done attribute adjustments. And now we would do the arena reveal. So like the arbiter would explain what happens as the players enter the arena. So in this example here, I might say something like, as you enter the arena, you immediately see 2 feral tigers that are chained to a post at the corners of the arena. But you also see a glint of weapons in their area. So it might be worth the risk if you don't like your current weapons. The other enemy is across the entrance from you, and to his left and your right are a bunch of spikes. So you have to be careful of that. The rest of the arena seems wide open. The other gladiator seems to have decent armor. He's carrying a sika and a net in his other hand, a reed. So that's what you're going up against. And then basically fight can commence. So since I'm going first, every turn I have 3 action points. And there's things that gladiators can do that they can spend their action points how they want. I took this kind of like from Pathfinder because I like the action economy. So you can move up to 6 squares unimpeded. So sometimes there's obstacles that might impede your movement, and it will tell you that. If you don't like squares, you can use hex grid as well. If you like that, I don't see a problem with that. But I did it in squares because that's what I have. So they can move. You can do an unarmed attack, which will just use savagery. I need to put that there that it will use savagery, but it does 1d4 blunt damage if it hits. And then you can drop an item. I don't know if I like this spending an action point, because the way I think about it, like if I'm, like say I wanted to go grab this weapon here, I would have to spend an action point to move over to it. I would have to spend an action point to drop one of my current weapons, and then I would have to spend an action point to pick it up, and then my turn's done. But in reality, if I'm moving to go pick up a weapon, I'm going to drop my weapon as I'm moving. So I think I might make drop item a free action, or it doesn't cost any action points. I'm not sure. You can pick up items that does cost an action point. You can also attempt to shove somebody. So this costs 2 action points, and the target must succeed a resilience roll, or they are knocked back 1 square. So say I wanted to shove this guy into these spikes, I could spend 2 action points to try to shove him. And if he fails a resilience roll, he gets knocked back into spikes and takes damage. How awesome is that? So that's just the ones, the basic ones that, the basic ways to spend action points that any gladiator can do, in addition to what cards you have. So because I have the hand axe and the parmula, and my horse also has some stuff that can do things, and all of my stuff has things that can spend action points. So the cards determine what abilities you have, but you do have a few basic ones just being a human, right? So, pretty cool. So a fight is considered over when there's only 1 team remaining in the arena. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. So I got 3 action points I can spend however I want. My cards basically explain what every ability does and what it costs, and then, but how do I roll? So this is a system that uses 2d12, and this is kind of something I got from Daggerheart. You're going to specify 1 dice. Where are my d12s? There's 1 there, and there's 1 there. So you're going to designate 1 die as glory, and the other die as disgrace. And so what you're going to do is you roll them both. You're going to combine the results. So I got an 8 on glory and 10 on disgrace, which gives me an 18 total. And then what determines if it's glorious or disgraceful is whichever the higher number is. So since it's 10 on disgrace and 8 on glory, the disgrace is higher. So I rolled an 18 with disgrace. When I'm trying to make some sort of roll with the 2d12, I'm rolling against my 3, like whichever 3 stat I'm using. So savagery, quickness, and resilience. So say, for example, if I was trying to make an attack with my hand axe, which uses savagery, I would make a savagery roll, and I have to roll at or under my current savagery. So this is an 18 with disgrace, which means that I failed. So it's a disgraceful failure. So it's kind of cool, but disgrace is a currency that the arbiter can use to spruce up the fight, and then glory is a resource that the combatants can use to do cool stuff. So that was just an example roll. So let's go ahead and let's see what I'm going to actually do. So I'm pretty happy with my weapons. We do have a scissor and a maul. The scissor's closest to me, and it is a savagery weapon. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with what I got, and I'm going to move. So I kind of want to get that maul, to be honest, because if I had that maul, that might be a game changer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm still outside of this attack range, so the tiger can't get me. That was one action point. And then this is where I was discussing where I'm not sure if I like the idea of dropping an item costing one action point. So I'm going to scrap that already. So I'm going to drop both of my items as I go over there. I'm going to drop both my hand axe and my parmula. I'm going to drop those on the ground as I'm running. So over here is an axe, and then there's a shield over there. So I'll drop those. I'm going to use my second action point as I'm moving to go over here. And I'm going to pick up that maul because I really want that maul. I think it's going to be worth it. So that's my 3 action points. 2 action points to move, 1 action point to pick up. Technically, it would have been 2 action points to drop both of my stuff, which just feels terrible, so I'm already going to change that. This is why we do playtests. So I'm going to get this maul instead. So now, rather than having axe and a shield, I have this maul, which is 2-handed. It's a savagery weapon. And that's going to end my turn. So now it's going to be the combatant's turn. He is going to... See, what does he have? He has a Sika and a net. So what he's going to do is he is going to... he's just going to move over somewhere else to make me have to work once I get out of there. He doesn't want to tangle with that lion or that tiger either. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then he's going to use another action point to basically go like over here. He's going to go there. And he is basically just going to... He's going to chill. He's not going to do anything else. He's just going to chill. He's going to wait for... Actually, you know what? I think he's gonna move like over here and just try to block me in. So he would still be able to move there. He's gonna be ballsy. He's actually gonna move right there. So he has 1 action point left. He's gonna take a swipe at me with his Sika. So he's gonna make a slash attack, which is a melee attack with savagery. So he's gonna roll. So that is a 12 with glory and a 10 with disgrace. So that's a 22 with glory. So if it's with glory, whether it's success or fail, he gets a glory point. Normally on the card, on the character card, there's spots to mark glory if you don't have like tokens, but I like to use these little tokens. So he's going to get a glory. So he has 1 glory token, but he does fail because 22 is below 16. So he does fail, which means I don't take any damage at all. Awesome. But he did gain a glory. So that ends his turn. Now it's these tigers' turn, right? So this tiger's just going to move over here, try to get closer. He's basically chomping at the chain. This one just watched me walk in his arena and like just pick up a big old hammer, a big old maul. So he's going to attack me right away. So he's going to just make a savagery attack. And I remember I said tigers had 12 savagery or something like that. You could give him more or less. So this is a 5 with honor or glory, and then a 11 with disgrace. So it's a 16 with disgrace. I don't really worry about a glory for the combatants, but disgrace does give me, as the arbiter, these tokens which can be spent to do various things in the fight. So his first attack fails. He's got 3 action points just like everybody else. He's going to attack again. That is a 6 with disgrace and an 8 with glory. So that is a 14 with glory. He doesn't gain a glory point because I don't really have any glory actions. That's something I might add is like a little bestiary full of random other beasts that can be in a arena, and maybe they might have glorious things that they can do as well. But for now, I haven't given that much thought, which is why we're playtesting stuff. So that also fails because that 16 is below his savagery of 12. And that is, that was a 5. So that's an 8. That does hit. So it's 1d6 damage. So I take 3 damage. So how damage works in this game is when you take damage, it's first mitigated by armor. So I have 1 armor, which mitigates that to 2. And then it goes towards my avoidance first. So it's my measure of how much damage I can avoid taking. So I am going to mark that down to 6. Now, part of me was thinking, okay, if you're avoiding damage, how come part of it is absorbed by armor? And that was just how it works in Cairn. I like that. If it wasn't absorbed by armor, your avoidance would go by super quick, which maybe that might be a balancing feature, but I don't know how I feel about it. I haven't given it much thought. I've thought about it a little bit, but not much. So what do you think about that? Should avoidance, since that's your measure of how much damage you can avoid taking, should that be mitigated by armor? Or should it go to avoidance first and then armor and then your resilience, which is your actual health? Because that's how that's one way of doing it. I'm not sure which way I like better, but for now, I'm mitigating it by the armor first, and then I am subtracting it from the avoidance, because that's how it's written here in the taken damage section. So that was his second attack, and then I think that was the second attack, right? No, I'm pretty sure that was his third. So he dealt some damage to me, not really because I avoided it, but now that's the end of their turn. Now it's my turn again. So now I have this big-ass maul, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, I can move 6 squares. I can't really move through anybody. I'm not sure if I can move diagonally through that, so I might have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not sure if that's going to be any better than where I'm at. So I am going to just attack the enemy, a gladiator, right where I'm at. And I'm going to attack him with my maul, which every time I attack, it costs 2 action points to do an attack. But if I hit, I deal 1d12 blunt damage, which can be pretty massive. So it's a savagery roll. So I am going to, boom. Oh my god, that sucks. That's a 12 and a 9. So that's a 21 with glory, which means I fail, but I do gain a glory. And that's the end of my turn, unless I want to move. So I think I'm going to move, just because that didn't turn out so well. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go there. And it feels kind of weird coming from like D&D and Pathfinder, where you can always get like an attack of opportunity if an enemy goes away from you. I don't really have that mechanic in here yet. I don't know if I want to add it or not. I was thinking maybe that could be abilities for some of the weapons, maybe, is that, or maybe it's something that can be part of the equipment, because the weapons are pretty stacked with abilities right now. I don't really have much more room on the cards, but I do have some room on the armor cards, so maybe it gives you, that maybe high quickness ones give you the ability to do an attack as a reaction. I'm not sure. So reaction kind of works how it does like in Pathfinder and D&D, to where you can use it off when it's not your turn, and you only get 1, and it's recharged on your next turn, basically. So, yeah. So that's going to end my turn. Now it's the enemy gladiator's turn. He's going to quickly get out of the range of the tiger. He doesn't want any of that. He's just going to square up with me. So he is going to, let's see, actually. Okay. What he's going to do, actually, he's going to move right here. And he's going to spend 2 action points to try to entangle me. Target within 2 squares must succeed a savagery save, or they are considered entangled. So he's going to try to entangle me. So I have to make a savagery save. So it's just like an attack roll. You just roll 2d12, and whatever stat you have to make a save for is what you're rolling for. So I got an 11 with glory and 10 with disgrace. So that's 21 with glory. That fails, because that is below my savagery of 12, or that is above my savagery of 12. So that's a failure. So I am now considered entangled. Only 1 target may be entangled at a time. Entangled, you are unable to move, and any attacks are impaired, and damage is reduced to 1d4. Entangled can be removed by the target by spending 2 action points and succeeding a savagery save. And then the combatant can also retrieve the net. So that ends his turn because he used 1 action point to move and 2 action points to try to entangle me. He did it. He did, in fact, entangle me. That sucks. So now it's this tiger's turn, who now is next to the combatant. He's just going to take a swipe, take 3 swipes at him. So that is a 13 with savagery, or with glory. That is a failure. That is, ooh, so double 10s. So if you get 2 of the same number on both die, it is a critical success. So when that happens, your performance is legendary. You achieve an extraordinary outcome, gaining a significant bonus, such as adding an additional damage die for an attack or recovering 1d4 avoidance during a save. You also immediately gain 1 glory point. So in this case, since he's attacking, it says add a damage die. Since the attack normally does 1d6, he's going to roll 2d6 instead. So this might be a little different than how crits work in other games, to where you just roll the dice and then double the number. But I like rolling more dice. So my boys wanted to roll more dice. So that's why I kind of made this game. So we're going to roll 2d6 for damage. A 1 and a 2. So he takes 3 points of damage. Now, the Gladiator has 2 armor, so immediately 2 of that's mitigated. So he only takes 1 damage. And his avoidance goes from 3 to 4. So whoop-de-flippity-doo. That did lots of damage, right? So there you go. So that was the tiger's first attack. No, that was the second attack. First one was a flub. Second attack, or third attack, rather. Here we go. So that's a 7 with Disgrace. So that is a disgraceful success. So I do gain 1 disgrace point. The Arbiter does. And it's going to roll more damage. So only using 1, so it's not a crit. It's 5. So again, since he has 2 armor, mitigated down to 3. He has 3 avoidance. His avoidance is now 0. So this Gladiator, getting mauled by a tiger, and so far has managed to avoid taking any damage, but he's having a hard time fending off that tiger. That ends both the enemy's turn. This one is still over here, just chomping at the bit, trying to get over to us. I'm entangled now, so I can't move, and he's too far away to attack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 2 action points to try to basically try to disentangle myself. So I have to make a savagery save, is what it said. So upon succeeding a savagery save, a tangle can be removed. Okay, I'm going to try to do a savagery save. Fuck. That is a 23 with glory. So I gain a glory, but it's a glorious failure. Basically, I struggle and I can't get out of that freaking net. The crowd is cheering and laughing at me the whole time as this is happening. And I only have 1 action point left, and I can't move. And I can't try to break out again. So that kind of sucks. So what other options do I have? Oh, you know what I realized? I was on a horse. And I didn't put it anywhere on here, but a horse does increase your movement capability. So I could have moved more squares later on, but I guess I didn't. Anyway, there's nothing that prevents me from being entangled or anything here. So that's my turn. I'm just going to hang tight. So now it's this Gladiator's turn. He is going to... Let's see. He is going to use... So he does have 1 glory. He's going to spend 1 action point and 1 glory to yank. Upon a successful savagery save, you pull an entangled target up to 2 squares towards you. Target can be pulled past you if desired. So he's going to spend this glory point and 1 action point. He's going to make a savagery save to try to see if he can pull me. Yeah. So, boom. So that is a 18 with glory. So he gains a glory point back. And he fails because his savagery is 16. So he does not succeed in yanking me. But because he just got a glory point back, he's going to spend another action point to try to yank me. And another glory point. So he's going to try again. He's going to give it a harder yank. Ooh, that is a 11 with Disgrace. So Arbiter gains a Disgrace point. And his yank succeeds. So he can choose to yank 2 squares. So 1, 2. So he could choose to like yank me past him. Now here's the thing. I don't know if like we would like transpose places or like how this would work with this because the language is kind of murky. I would say make it up as you go as the arbiter. Just do whatever sounds cool. But maybe since it was disgraceful, he only yanks me 1, and he doesn't yank me past him or through him, and doesn't trade places. Maybe if it was a glorious success, that they could do something cool. So there's lots of different leeway and kind of rule of cool options that you can do there. But for now, he just pulls me towards him, and he's gonna spend his last action point to take a little swipe-a-rooney at me with his Sika. So it's a savagery attack. And that is 11 and 11. That's a crit. Shit. So it's a glorious, a critical success. So he immediately gains 1 glory. And he normally does 1d6. However, since it's a crit, he's going to roll 2d6. So that's a 4 and a 5. I am in trouble. I am in trouble. So I have 1 armor, so that reduces the damage to 8. I have 6 avoidance, which soaks up some of that, but I don't know why I'm reversing my armor. So I'm at 0 avoidance, and I have 2 left over. So that goes down to my resilience. So my resilience is now 12. Resilience is kind of my stat, like strength for Cairn, except I wanted the main attack stat, like the attack stats, to be different than the health stat, basically. So I think I used resilience for that. So once your resilience goes to 0, you're basically dead. So he just took a big old swipe at me, and I am hit. I avoided some of the damage, but I got hit. I took some damage to my resilience. He basically just cut me. And since it was glorious, the crowd cheers, and everything is awesome. So now it's the Tiger's turn. So Tiger is still right next to this guy. So the Tiger's just going to keep attacking him because we're next to this freaking Tiger. So that is a 9 with glory, which does succeed. So Tiger's going to do 3 damage to him. He's got 2 armor, so he takes 1 damage, so his resilience is now 10. So the Tiger is now mauling him. Pretty good. Tiger's going to attack again. Come on, Tiger, get his ass. That one's cocked. So that's a 10 and 11, so that is a 21 with glory. So he does gain a glory point, and that attack does fail. And actually no, he doesn't gain a glory point because it's the Tiger, not the combatant. So the Tiger's going to roll 1 last attack. Boom. That is a 12 with Disgrace, which is the savagery of the Tiger, so it succeeds, but I do gain a Disgrace point as the Arbiter, and I get to roll damage. I guess that works. 6. Holy cow. So reduced to 4 by armor. So this guy's resilience is now 4. So that ends, that resets the round. Now let's talk about some things what is Disgrace used for? So there's a few different abilities that the Arbiter can do. So Disgrace is a measure of the crowd's displeasure, and a resource managed by the Arbiter, which can be spent to perform a few actions between any combatant's turn. These actions are designed to make the fight more exciting for the crowd, and usually introduces dangers that affect all combatants, not just players. So that's one thing. So since there's only 1 player, like I can jeer, which costs 1 Disgrace. I can try this, which is 2 Disgrace. I can unveil a trap, 3 Disgrace. Into the fray is 5 Disgrace, so I can add another combatant that is hostile to all the other combatants. And then Shield Wall costs 6 Disgrace. So we're gonna get into what those do, but I'm gonna have it up on the screen anyway. So yeah. So I'm at 4 Disgrace right now. Since the combatants are starting to take damage, I feel like I should probably spend some of it. So what I might do is I'm going to draw a random weapon card, which is a cudgel. And I'm going to put that... So the crowd basically throws down a weapon that can be used. So they're going to put down a cudgel like right here. So there's a club that any of us can grab if we want. That's 2 Disgrace done. And then if a combatant's performance is cowardly, the crowd will boo at them, often throwing random food and debris. Target takes 1d4 damage from the crowd. So I don't know if I want to do that yet, because we haven't really done any disgraceful. I mean, I guess I've been kind of disgraceful because I'm stuck in a net still. I'm not really doing anything. And this guy's just freaking getting attacked by a tiger the entire time. So I think the crowd would be pretty happy with how things are going so far. So I'm not going to use any other actions, like disgraceful actions. So now it's my turn again. So I'm still entangled, which sucks. I'm going to spend 2 action points, try to make another savagery save. Son of a bitch. That's a 20 with Disgrace. That's a failure. So I'm still stuck here. I can't do anything. So, you know what? The crowd is going to be displeased with that. I'm going to spend 1 Disgrace, and then they're going to throw stuff. Now, because it could be debatable on who they are despised with, or who they are displeased with, it could either be them or me. So just to be fair, 1 through 3 is going to be me, 4 through 6 is going to be the enemy. That's a 5. So they throw it at the enemy. So this does 1d4 damage. This is not a chance to hit, they just take it. So 1d4, 3 damage, which is reduced to 1. So the enemy now has 3 resilience. And now it is the enemy's turn. So the enemy has me right where he wants me, basically. And he is going to... let's see. He's going to just do a slash attack at me. So he's going to roll. That is a 10 with glory. Or a 10 with glory. So he gains a glory point. And that is a success. So he does 1d6 damage towards me, which that is a 2. He does 2 damage to me. Reduced to 1 by my armor. So now I have 11 resilience. So now that he has 2 glory, he is going to use the uppercut ability, which does 1d8 slash damage. It ignores avoidance, which is not too big a deal since I'm already out of avoidance right now anyway. But it does do 1d8 damage. So he's gonna spend his 2 glory to make an attack roll to see if he can hit me with that. That is an 8 with glory. He gains the glory back. And I take 1d8 damage, which sucks. Alright. Boom. That is 4. Reduced to 3. So now my resilience is now 8. Rough. Okay. So that was first attack, second attack. He's going to take another slash at me. And I know that Pathfinder has a multi-attack penalty. There's no such thing in here. It's a vicious, brutal game. So if anything, attacking more gives you a bigger advantage because you're savagely pressing the attack. So he's going to attack again. That is a 6 on Disgrace. No, that's a 9 on Disgrace and a 12 with glory. So that's a glorious failure. So he does get any glory. And that ends his turn. So now it's the tiger. The tiger is still going to keep mauling his ass. You know what? Actually, he's going to... He should have done this. He's going to move. He's going to move there for his last action. So he doesn't gain that glory. That way he's not being ripped apart by this freaking tiger. So now it's the tiger's turn. Tiger's going to move right here. So this is where a hex system would probably go better. I'm not sure if like adjacent squares like this would normally be an attack. I'm going to say for the purposes of this, yes, it is. So this tiger's going to attack me. So it's going to it's going to take 3 attacks at me, and hopefully I live, because that is a 21 with Disgrace. I'm going to take a Disgrace token. That fails. That is a 18 with Disgrace. I'm going to take another Disgrace token. That fails. And that is a 12 with Glory. The Tiger succeeds. So I'm going to take 6 damage. Reduced to 5. So I have 3 resilience left. Oh my god. And that ends the Tiger's turn. Now it's back to my turn. So, I do have 4 Disgrace points that I, as the Arbiter, can spend. But I think the crowd's pretty happy because the combatants are both getting down. It's been a bloody round so far. It's been a bloody fight. So, I am still entangled. I'm still entangled. So I have to spend 2 action points to try to get out of it. This sucks. I'll get my ass kicked. I can't move. That is a 12 with Disgrace, but 12 is my savagery. So I'm finally no longer entangled. And I only have 1 action point. And so now that I can move, I'm going to spend my 2 glory and my last action point to trample. Melee attack, 1d6 blunt damage, can be used in place of a move action. This is my horse equipment. So I'm going to use trample. I'm going to basically ride through this fool. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to ride through that idiot. So I'm going to make a savagery attack because it has savagery up here on the card. That is a 15 with Disgrace, which sucks. That fails. However, I still do move. So I don't deal any damage to him, but I do move away from him. So yeah. And that's going to end my turn. So now it's the enemy combatant's turn, but the crowd is pretty unhappy. I would say the crowd is probably, I don't know, I would say the crowd's happy that I finally escaped from a freaking net because I was just getting shanked and clawed at from all sides for a while. And so I think what's going to happen is this fight is going on long enough and there's going to be a shield wall. If a fight has gone on for too long, the Arbiter can decide to have soldiers, not combatants, players cannot fight them, form a line on the farthest wall and advance 1 square closer at the end of every round of combat. Any combatants adjacent to the shield wall will take 1d8 damage. So, let's see, what can we use for our shield wall? Grab these. I probably should use the same color as the enemy, but you get the idea. So, the farthest wall, where is that in relation to stuff? Well, this wall's got 3 enemies close to it. This wall's got basically 1 enemy close to it, which is a combatant. This wall has 2 close to it, and this wall has 1 close to it. So, it should either be this wall or this wall. I think it's going to be this wall. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it might be this wall. Because if they came out, I'm already right by them. I would just take damage, which is not a great idea. But maybe since it's a shield wall, maybe if like as the wall approaches. See, this is why we're doing playtesting because I'm not sure how this stuff would work in practice. Cool. So we have a shield wall. I'll grab another one. Boom. So as they approach towards the field, I would imagine if they have to push you, they're going to attack you. So, or do you think that since I'm next to them, I should take damage? I think that it's kind of a crapshoot either way. So maybe what we can do is we can make it a diagonal thing. So that way it gives all the combatants a chance to react. And so these guys fill out, and they're going to start expanding out this way instead. So they're going to move diagonally. I like that better. So let's see. I forgot whose turn is it now. I think it's the enemy's turn. So the enemy
is going to try to finish this because he is tired of playing around. So he is going to spend 1 action point to move at me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he is going to spend another action point to do a slash attack, which is a 10 with Disgrace. So I spent 5 Disgrace points already, so I'm going to take 4 of them away. That way, because now I have 2 Disgrace. So that does succeed. And he rolls 1d6, which is 4. So reduced to 3. My resilience is now 0. Technically, I would be dead. However, glory, some actions that you can spend with glory, is something called Last Stand. When a combatant suffers a mortal blow that brings their resilience to 0 and all of their glory is consumed to bring their resilience to 1. And they cannot take damage until their next turn. Now here's the problem though. I have 2 glory here, but I don't remember if I subtracted the trample already. So I don't think I have any glory. I'm pretty sure I don't. So I can't use Last Stand. So I'm dead. So I lose. So that was a basic look at the system as far as like a pure mechanics dice rolling aspect of it. The thing that I do with my boys sometimes is that I like to lean into the glory and disgrace. So the reactions of the crowd. So if I take damage and it's soaked up by avoidance, how do I avoid the damage? If they make a disgraceful roll, how is it disgraceful? Maybe they end up like kicking sand in my eye or something like that, and the crowd's like, boo! You know, however you want to interpret that. So there's lots of different narrative flavor that you can put on that as well that I didn't really touch on in this little demonstration of this playtest here. But that's roughly the system. So you can see how dangerous it is. So normally, I probably wouldn't have put so many dangers and stuff in here, but I wanted to just kind of show it off. And the players themselves would all be on a team. And you would normally, you might try to curate their experience so that the first few fights are not as deadly as this. Because this guy freaking netted me for like 3 rounds. I couldn't do a damn thing. And that was pretty rough. So that was pretty powerful. But maybe if there were multiple combatants, it would have been probably more chaotic, and maybe they wouldn't have kept attacking me, but they would have kept me entangled, so I couldn't help my friends, right? So there's different dynamics that can happen all because of this. But that's what I've got so far. So the reason why I made this system is because my boys and I love Cairn. However, my eldest wants basically a more narrative-filling experience, right? He wants intrigue, mystery, quests, right? And then my youngest basically just wants to play Grand Theft Auto. So every time we kept playing, he kept trying to like pants priests and pickpocket kings and stuff like that. And it was like, there's not even a king nearby. What are you trying to do? This, and they also wanted to roll more dice, because some of the things in Cairn is you end up rolling a lot less dice, which we did like at first, and we still do. However, sometimes we just want to roll dice, which is why there's multiple systems out there. Well, I decided to make my own system that rolls lots of dice, which is why there's multiple rolls. There's attack rolls, there's damage rolls, there's saves. And then I kind of like the idea, because I noticed that with my boys, and sometimes even with myself, if we're trying to play something like D&D, we have like a 3-page character sheet and our eyes just kind of glaze over. We don't really look at all of it. Whereas with this, with Cairn, it was super simple because your character sheet's small and you're really only worried about your 10 inventory slots. But this, you're only worried about what you actually have in your hand. So it felt like that for my boys. They were much more intuitively able to kind of decide what to do on their turn, because they could look through and see what they had. And then also they like the ability of the tokens and stuff like that, so they can track that stuff better. It's more things to like fidget with when it's not their turn, and since they have the cards in their hands, they're also thinking of what they're going to do on their next turn, as opposed to how it normally plays out with like Pathfinder, D&D, or even Cairn, is that they're just kind of like waiting for their next turn. They may or may not be paying attention. And then once it's their turn, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. What do I have, right? So it has its pros and cons. The cons are, it doesn't seem well fleshed out yet. To be honest, it's not. I don't even know if it's a good idea. All I know is that my boys and I are having fun with it so far. And so figured I'd just make a system and throw it together. If people like it, cool. If not, no biggie. My boys and I like it. So I like the fear and hope aspect from Daggerheart. So I took it, the glory and disgrace. I took that, and it's really cool to be able to have like these glorious actions and stuff like that. And then the disgrace is the measure of the crowd's displeasure. So it's kind of cool to have more crowd actions, like they might throw weapons, or they might throw stuff at you, or they might file out a bunch of guards to like do a wall of death. And if you don't kill the other enemy in time, then they're going to kill you, right? So it's pretty brutal, and it's pretty interesting. So my boys like it. That was a rough demonstration of what I got. Probably not too well done. It's kind of weird playing all the characters. I haven't done solo play like this before, so it's kind of weird. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this little demonstration. Let me know your thoughts of this. If you want to try this out, I do have the download link in the description. It just goes to my itch.io. You can download the booklet, or you can just download the PDF of the like full PDF format, or you can download it in booklet format. And then I have all the cards in separate pages that you can cut out with scissors, hopefully a little better job than I did, and you can play. Eventually, once I get the system ironed out, I would love to have actual playing cards. I think that'd be a lot better. But I need to get the system ironed out first if I ever decide to go that route. And in this PDF, all of this art is also temporary. This is all stuff that I generated with both Hero Forge and Eldritch Foundry. And then I just put like some art filters over them. And so it's not going to be permanent art for this. My eldest is working on some art. I don't really know if he's too enthused about the art or not. He's Gladiators is not really his art style. So, but he's trying it out. If not, I'll figure out something else for art. But this is not going to be the final product. I guess product. I don't know if I'm going to ever sell it. I do want to actually have, at least like for myself, cards. But yeah, this is it so far. Download it, give it a shot. Let me know your thoughts. I'd be really curious to hear what your feedback is. So, yeah, I'm going to stop yammering, and thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in whatever video I make next. Woo!